Oh, hi there. It's 4:12 a.m. in the morning. I felt compelled to make another YouTube video, and it's to express my dislike of Ryan Reynolds. To me, he's starting to resemble what is referred to as a boiled egg. White man on the outside, yellow on the inside. He's very much into comics, as everyone knows. He played Deadpool. And although a lot of those ideas originated from Western sources, it's really taken off in Asia, specifically Japan. And I am someone who's going to stand up and say it. There are a bunch of cocksuckers in Japan. And that's the same thing with a lot of other of those Southeast Asian countries. Korea, Taiwan, Indonesia, you name it. They're a bunch of cocksuckers. They just are. And I don't care if people don't like it that I say that. I really don't. I've had to, sit on the bus or sit anywhere or stand around and listen to people talk about how, oh, the Japanese do things better and how uh, Asian speaking when they say, oh, if everyone thought like this, as in themselves, then the world would be so much better a place. And it's like, no. If everyone thought like an Asian, no, the world wouldn't be a better place. You stupid bunch of assholes. I can understand you feeling some sort of primordial instinct to dislike this video because of what I'm saying, but if you do, then you're ignoring obvious faults of your own culture. I understand everything about the Western Caucasian culture is not on board. I don't agree with a lot of the things that the Western culture does, but to put a blind eye to it, to say that, well, in compensation, I'm going to say that the Asian culture is so much better, that would be grossly hypocritical and disgusting. So I'm obviously not going to say that. And if you know anything about Ryan Reynolds, and I haven't really watched the Deadpool movies. I have no interest. I wish they didn't even exist. Get Thanos around here and snap his fingers and make him disappear is what we need. Except we don't know if Josh Brolin's willing to do that or not. But there's somebody who might, look up to him one day when he's become an old man and finish up the general idea that he had. Because there is a finite amount of resources for food production, and we just don't have the time or space to, supply it to people who don't like us anyway under the surface. And that's mostly what the Japanese are. And Ryan Reynolds has been a bitch, a total bitch to these people. I understand it's a whole different animal going over there and being friendly with them when they're not liking you in the first place and you're at a disadvantage. That's a thing, and that's obviously must have what happened to Ryan Reynolds because you wouldn't want to watch his sex tapes. That would be kind of demoralizing, probably. However, will we tolerate this shit in the West? Absolutely not. Like, think about Ryan Reynolds' rise to power. It coincides with Justin Trudeau's plan for Canada and his Canadian values. Let's listen to what his Canadian values are. What are they exactly? Well, he believes in the LGBTQTFCWYZ movement. He's hammered that home in the media for years. And don't think just because it only started happening when he became prime minister. He got more administrative power when he became prime minister. He was still in the background, pulling all kinds of shenanigans and things like that. The prime minister title strengthened his power, but it wasn't, the beginning source of his power. And think of everything else he's done. He's pushing the marijuana movement. He's not even touching the subject of, well, is green clean? Is it going to fix up the downtown east side? Is he even talking about that? No, he isn't, because he knows it isn't going to work. And this is his gift to everybody that, look what I'm doing. I'm legalizing marijuana. It's what your subcultures wanted for so long. Guess what? Half the subculture doesn't even want it for their own reasons. I don't know. I like alcohol, so I don't know their exact reasons, but um, it's one of those things where it's like the perpetuation of stupidity is continuing because there are too many people with stupid opinions with big mouths. And here I am on my little YouTube channel, and people are going, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. And it's like, the fuck, man? I thought we lived in a democracy or something like that where we're allowed to express our opinions. Evidently not if you don't, jive with normal society. Duh, yeah, man. Like, put a doobie in your mouth. That makes you right, doesn't it? That's what we want to hear. No. Fuck off. What do you think of that for an answer? Yeah, so that's a pertinent thing that's going on around here. And a lot of people go, well, I'm in the daily drag, I'm in the daily grind. I don't have time to think about things like that, and that's perfectly understandable. But it's like, this shit is happening, and it's influencing how people think. And you may go, well, I don't give a crap about that, but maybe you don't. But in the future generations, there'll be people running around with complete authority whom you would despise. And, in hindsight, you'd go, hey, wait a minute. I don't like these people. I don't want them in power. I don't want them making decisions for me. Like, what if you're a young guy now and you're a senior citizen then? Do you want these kind of people making choices for you? I don't. And, getting back to the whole Ryan Reynolds and him being infatuated with, Asian culture, as he so evidently is, no, you're not opening the welcome mat, for the Asian countries and for them to just go, here, Canada is yours to do with whatever you want with. Uh, no. If you want to come into a culture, tell us everything we're doing wrong, and then influence, if not dominate, the social political scene, going down to every person, then we got issue here because not everyone's going to fucking agree with you. And it'll be quite easy to explain to people why you shouldn't just go with the flow, because the flow sometimes leads to a Salt Creek bed of shit. If you want to end up in a salt bed of shit, that's your prerogative. I tried my best to explain, but you didn't want to hear it. And I am not convinced that Justin Trudeau has Canada's best interest in mind. He constantly says Canada's values, blah, 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 blah. No, they're your values, Justin Trudeau, and you don't have Canada's values in mind. And not only do you not have Canada's values in mind, you're also a bit of a sleazeball who will fucking do anything and say anything in front of the camera, and then when you're behind the scenes, you'll do whatever you want, as is evident because you're selling arms to the Saudis. On the other hand, you're demonizing Vladimir Putin for one momentary thing on the television where he's shaking hands with the Vlad with the not the Vladi the Saudi prince. Okay, what's happening behind the scenes? I have no idea. But for the shock value of demonizing him for that handshake that was nearly a high five, and manipulating the media, which you have been doing. You can't deny that with what you've been saying about not Justin Trudeau, Donald Trump. Um, Donald Trump doesn't go out of his way to say things nasty about Justin Trudeau, and there's a reason for it. It's because Justin Trudeau is a fucking peon. He's a fucking nobody. He's a weak prime minister. That's just the fucking truth. There's a reason Donald Trump goes, I don't give a fuck what you think. And that would be a dominating factor. And I'd like to think that the prime minister was, more intelligent and better at his job than he has been, but he's not. And it's not like anyone who knew Justin Trudeau quite well before he became prime minister wouldn't be surprised by his actions. Um, I don't believe he's trying to be the good guy. I think he's trying to advance a political agenda that's contradictory to what people want to hear. And there are reasons for that, of course, namely that the Japanese and other Asian countries are not actually to be trusted, like Western cultures have believed for so long because they were under in the United States thumb, and they are in possession of technology that could damage us in the long run. And it's like, no, we're not cowing down because of your incompetencies. I know, given certain realities of what the world is today, taking a more modest approach would seem like the rational thing to do. However, I disagree. Enabling these Asian countries to dictate politics and propaganda media and the influence of the people is wrong. It is totally wrong because it's subvertive. It allows bullshit to swell in and nobody's supposed to notice. Well, guess what? We did notice. A lot of people noticed. And they're not just going to put up with Justin Trudeau's shit or anyone else's shit like Ryan Reynolds. They're just not going to do it. And by legal means, they are going to underhandedly subvert their authority. It's like, no, you can be there. You're making a lot of money. It doesn't mean you're right, and it doesn't mean you're gonna win the propaganda war. Um, I mean, they have to know how to lose, how to win. And I don't mean Ryan Reynolds doing a shitty job at Green Lantern and then coming back as Deadpool and everyone praising him going and then, people not questioning the Deadpool movies weren't actually very good. And this is again, I hardly even watched him. I don't like the character. He's irritating, he's a prick. And not in the good way. Like there's a good way to be an irritating prick, and there's a bad way, and he's doing it the bad way. And he's just counting down too much, and he's sold out for money, is what it is. Probably the same thing as Justin Trudeau. And we're done putting up with that. We're done with it. Like especially when we know which direction it's going in, and what they want to do to this particular port city of Vancouver, which is turn into essentially a Hong Kong of Asia, except for in North America and the Western culture. And it's like, that's a very entertaining plan you've got. I'm sure you've discussed this thoroughly and really thought things out, but you're still wrong. So fuck you. And there are people who are going to stand up and say, look, we're not tolerating this shit because we know what it really is about. And I could go further into detail, but I need some feedback in order to retract. And I mean reasonable feedback. I mean, not like half retarded. They don't even know what the fuck they're talking about feedback. I have no time to waste on people who decide that they don't want to discuss things in a normal fashion and decide to sound, rather stupid and crazy at the same time. Anyway, I'll talk to you people later. Um, you probably won't like what I have to say, but you know what? Fuck you. So anyway, have a good one.